to start construction, and then they found the bones. And this.
You didn't know about it in advance?
No, of course not. You think the Mossad Regional Center had no idea whatsoever? Never. Never did anyone in the Mossad Regional Center have the slightest clue that there were bones underneath this site would be found. Well, bones were found. We ourselves didn't. So what do? Okay, next thing we know is when we filed the petitions, we published, when we acquired the land, according to the law, we published ads in Arabic saying we're going to build on this. This is the law. You have to announce to the Arab, in Hebrew, in Arabic, and in English. Not a single person protested to the city or to us.
But first time when I heard about it, didn't you sense some trouble? I mean,
not at all. What trouble? The city of Jerusalem and the Israel Land Authority own a piece of land on which is sitting the municipal car park, on which cars are parked underground, 3 levels, for 50 years without anybody objecting to that. On what basis?
But bones in historical cities.
Excuse me, bones when? There were no bones. The 50 years there were no bones. There were no bones found there in 50 years. Mm-hmm. And we started, there were bones. And if the Supreme Court would have ruled against us, we would have moved. Who took us to the Supreme Court? Whose idea was to take us to the Supreme Court? Sheikh Rad Salah and his few Palestinian friends. They took us to the Supreme Court, Israeli Supreme Court. Why did they take us to the Israeli Supreme Court? The most logical thing is they thought they were going to win. They lost. Now, what do you do if you lost? It sounds to me like they say, no, we want to win. Everybody wants to win, but they lost. Mm-hmm. And the Israeli Supreme Court is not terribly known around the world. Nobody was going to accuse the Israeli Supreme Court of being a right-wing court. A unanimous decision for the Supreme Court. That was for us the end of the story. Tel Aviv is still a city. They're building in Tel Aviv. There's a public campaign against everything that Israel did in its history. The question is, was something done? If it appeared before a court, the court considered it for 3 years. During the 3 years, the court was not sleeping. They were looking for any document. They were looking for any proof that somebody really protested or cared. And they saw what we saw, that for 50 years, Muslims, Jews, and Christians parked their cars there every single day without any protest. The whole legitimacy of their argument fell on that basis. And then when we found out after the court ruled for us, we found out this was for us the final blow when we found in the Palestine Post that they were planning to build on the cemetery itself, not on the parking lot where we are. They were planning to build a bank and a commercial center. That was the end. That was the end of the story. No, but you know that people who protest, they send us letters. When we send them the Palestine Post article, you should see the replies we get. The replies that we get from these people who protest say, "What hypocrisy! Go on and build your museum." The Palestinians did it. The point is, listen, if you have in a society, in a civil society, when you have a dispute, that's why you have a court. When a court decides, that's the end of the story. We can always say, look, maybe the United Nations, as I said before, should decide Roe Wade. But we should refer to the United Nations. It doesn't matter that the United States Supreme Court made a ruling on it. That would create chaos in all civilizations, total destruction. No project, no building would stand. What was the history of the Knesset 400 years ago? What was the history of the president's house 400 years ago? What did we find out that 400 years ago it may have been somebody may have been? So we are going to undo the society. So that's what the Supreme Court studied, and the Supreme Court decided that that is not the case. So we are moving forward with our project. We're going to select an architect July and August. We'll announce it. It'll be an Israeli architect. We have a competition right now. We're not mentioning who. We have 3 architects. And we will announce one of them. And we'll go forward with our project, which would be a great credit to the State of Israel. And because it's going to teach tolerance, it's not going to, it's going to be a bastion of moderation in a city that needs it. And I believe that that tens of thousands of students every year will come. religious, not religious, tourists, Jews, Christians, Muslims, just as they come here. Just as there was a prediction here by a distinguished newspaper that it'll only be for Jews, and now they don't write that anymore because they can't. We talk about Zionism, and we talk about people from America. American Jews should have a connection with Israel. After all, there was not, for 2,000 years, there was no Israel. So what did we do? In the middle of the Intifada, we announced our project that we were going forward to build a great project in the heart of Jerusalem. Now this is done because we feel that in 25, 50 years, majority of the world's Jews who live in Israel, not in the diaspora. So it's nothing wrong with an American Jewish organization having a stake in Jerusalem, putting your money where your mouth is. You know, to say you're a Zionist. We're proud that our organization will have a stake in Jerusalem. That we would have said no. Jerusalem is not to us just nothing. It means something to us. We want to influence the society there, and that's why we built a Museum of Tolerance in Jerusalem there. King Abdullah told me that his father kept the Museum of Tolerance membership in his wallet. They received it here. So I think a Museum of Tolerance here has done great work. We're very proud of it, and I'm certain that if we're given the opportunity to build our Museum of Tolerance in Jerusalem, and that people in the end, even those who participated on the other side, thinking that maybe we should have gone somewhere else, is going to come around to the idea that a Museum of Tolerance is going to do a heck of a lot more for Israel than a parking lot would. And the court was not going to give that parking lot back. It wasn't going to become a park. It was either a parking lot or it's going to be a Museum of Tolerance.
But aren't you sorry that Frank Gehry left the project? I mean,
yeah,
he was a big name.
Frank Gehry, he left. It was a mutual understanding. And I would say the following: of course, he was a big name. Do I want the days of prosperity to be here like they were in 2003? Of course. But I have a clout. You cannot go against the reality of the time that you're living in. It's a different world today. It's a world that is telling us to be more frugal. It's a world that's telling, and it just wasn't right. And our board felt that way too, to build a $250 million facility.
Yeah, but the money was invested already, so
no, the money's not. No, it's not. It's not 250. What do you mean the money was invested?
Oh, I mean, if you paid him, for example, for the
but that's not 200. That's not $250 million. I mean, we're going to save $150 million under the new program. The museum will, in terms of expenditures, we're saving $150 million. We've capped our project at $100 million. It's a big difference between 100 million and 250 million.